Boom, 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 boom.
Not to be confused with Revavoom.
Pop, pop.
So this is probably just going to be a me and Aaron Legend episode. And
I'm here, and I'm driving around on a dragon bike.
I'm here in spirit. No, but I am curious.
And number one fans here, but this is mainly
She's
for
catching
me and
EVs.
Aaron Legend because we're the car guys. We love cars.
Yeah.
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
And this is Anime Royalty Radio, and today is our cars episode, and we're going to talk about how Ford, even though they signed that EV bill that Let's Go Brandon just had to sign, put out there, and for everybody, they said, fuck you! And put out a brand new Mustang.
Yeah.
Called the Dark Horse.
Yeah.
Not called the Eevee?
No, they put out one of those that's a SUV, but they still said fuck you. They didn't do like Dodge and make an actual Charger that's going to have to be charged.
Wah, wah.
Wouldn't they just call it the charged?
Oh. Oh.
No, it's the Daytona, which makes it even worse.
Well, that was the concept car. It's not the final iteration, but if that's the way they're going, people will have some concerns.
Yeah, I know I will.
What are some of those concerns?
Fake exhaust noises.
Yes, that really fucking bothers me.
Yeah.
Someone said it sounds like it's sponsored by Dyson because it sounds like a vacuum cleaner.
Just put
So-
some speakers down there, man.
So, with that, it was announced maybe not too long ago. I think August is when I stumbled across it. Could have been earlier. That Ford basically said "fuck you" and said we're still going to put out a big boy Mustang for the people who actually like petrol, as the Brits say,
Gas.
or gas, as the Americans say, and want to go fast and say power, as Jeremy Clarkson says.
Yeah.
And put out the new Mustang GT, the Dark Horse. And that thing is actually pretty fucking sweet looking.
I agree. It's quite gnarly.
You want to show him? He wants to see.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and show you guys some of the pictures.
Like-
So, as far as actual appearances go, it looks like your standard Mustang.
No?
Nothing too fancy. It'll take some subtle nods from,
The Mach 1 and the GT 350 and the Shelby.
yeah. It'll take some subtle hints, but I think one of the quotes that Ford had made was this was almost going to be a sleeper kind of feel. But it's a Mustang, so everybody knows that when you pull up beside a Mustang, it's either going to be loud and slow or loud and fast.
And watch out for your crowds.
And watch the crowds. But I think they've actually taken a note from old school Japan's
I
car
love
kind of
the
build.
emblem.
The emblem is really nice. It's got this dark horse looking at you from head on kind of look. And to be honest, the packages that are going to be available for it, they said they're leaning towards a street meets track kind of package. It's not going to be, oh, I'm going to completely dominate the drag strip, but it's going to be, I'm going to take this car to the track just because I
So,
want to
like,
go.
track mode features?
Yeah.
Which I could definitely see them doing, since that's where a lot of car companies go now.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Porsche, Ferrari,
a
all
lot
them.
of people these days don't really buy cars for dedicated track use. They buy cars for, I'm going to drive this to work and flex, and then maybe every couple of weekends I'll take it out and actually drive it hard.
A hobbyist car.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
pretty
exactly.
much.
But we looked up some of the specs on this, and oh, goodness gracious.
She is quite
Spicy?
thick.
Oh yeah, she's. When I say they gave the big bird to it, they gave the big bird because the whole EV bill was to basically say no more of these types of cars because they're bad for the environment. We don't want these anymore because petrol heads are bad. We do bad things.
So it's going to be the newest iteration of the Coyote 5.0 V8
Yes.
with forged internals and the same rods as the supercharged GT 500.
So the good news about that, which I'm assuming, but that makes it extremely easy to probably put on a supercharger.
You can easily put on a supercharger, but the thing I'm most excited about is they overbuilt the naturally aspirated car, which we've known from Toyota, Mitsubishi,
All JDMs.
Nissan, all Japanese cars, is you overbuild your car on purpose because it's going to last longer for the people that want to keep it stock, or you can put insane amounts of power into your car if you want to upgrade it with any kind of turbo or any kind of supercharger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is actually becoming a tuners, or not really tuner, but any type of gearhead's like dream,
And
because
that's
it's
how
going to be
Mustangs,
easy.
That's how Mustangs have been. They've been so plentiful and cheap that people just tune the hell out of them. But now it's basically Ford saying, here's one from the factory, do as you see fit.
Yep. And that's brilliant. It's going to be the first one to ever have carbon fiber wheels
From the factory.
Not aftermarket, from the factory.
Yep, that's not a Shelby or any kind of high name
Roush.
brand Mustang. It's going to be just your average Mustang that you can get with carbon fiber wheels. It's going to have an upgraded track package with stiffer suspension. I think a better Getrag gearbox.
Which is kind of funny from us three. Actually, from everybody here.
Yeah, working.
At what used to be Getrag, but now GKN.
Well, I mean, we still worked on Ford stuff.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
But not only that, it will boast a 500 horsepower standard from the naturally aspirated. It will come with either a 6-speed manual, which is nice, but for those of us that want the better track times, it will also come in a 10-speed automatic.
This is peak performance.
The Challengers have an 8-speed for the Hellcats, which is flawless shifting, but imagine the same thing from a 10-speed. You won't even know it shifted.
It's a long way down from here.
Until you start getting into forced induction areas.
Yep. And you're going to be able to tell that.
Which is part of the reason why I think they didn't go with anything forced induction, was why spend the extra money on it for people that can't afford it when we can just leave that stuff off and let people decide if they want to add it. We'll give them the forged internals. We'll give them the upgraded rods. We'll give them the track package if they want it. But if you just want to keep a Mustang for forever, since our government now wants to lean towards EVs, let's give them a car that can last for years to come and can be upgraded as you see fit.
And this is coming at probably, in my opinion, the best time ever, because Chevy's not doing this. Chevy's getting rid of the Camaro. Again, Dodge is getting rid of the Challenger.
They did a last Hail Mary with their last Challenger. They gave us
the Hellcat.
They gave us the Super Stock.
That's right. The Super
And then
Stock.
they gave us a newer version of the Super Stock, which was even more unhinged, but it was a, hey, farewell kind of thing. This is the last V8 we're going to do.
And they keep talking about how we're going to get the Barracuda, but the Barracuda is supposed to be rumored to be a EV, which is horrible. That's not the way to bring back the Barracuda.
I agree, but there was also a rumor floating around of the Viper coming back as an EV.
Now, see, I don't like the Viper. You know this.
Mm-hmm.
I've never lied and said, oh, the Viper's cool or whatever. I can't stand the Viper. But to me, that's a disgrace. The Viper needs to have a V12, big boy V8, maybe a V10, even though they're kind of a stink-ish right now. It needs to have one of those, and it needs to be one of those type of cars that it's almost like the Corvette in a way. You cannot make a Corvette an EV. You cannot do that.
And it was so raw, so weird, so out of place. People would think that if you just sat next to somebody in traffic and they didn't look at you, people would claim that there was a tractor sitting next to them. It had this weird, gurgly rumble. Yeah, people would claim it sounds like a tractor, but that was just part of the charm of the Viper. And as much as I want it to come back, as much as I want the hype to be back for the Viper,
I don't want it to come back now.
I don't want it like
because
this.
they're going to make it an EV, because that's where it's going now. And it'd be the same way if I would like to say Ford wouldn't do it, but I'd almost be afraid Ford would do it with the Ford GT. because I could see them making an EV out of it to make it safe for the government.
That's like the Mach E. When it came back, I was like, this is how it starts. It started with the Eclipse, and now they're doing it with EVs. They've ruined the Mustang name with this Mach E. And I get it. You people out there that love Ford and you're trying to defend the Mach E or whatever.
Fuck you.
It's not a Mustang. I know what you think. It's not a Mustang. It's a nice car.
No, it's not. It's not a nice car.
It's a nice EV.
No, it's not.
I think it's a nice EV.
No.
I think it's a nice EV, but it is not a Mustang. And giving it the Mustang name was just a cheap way to get people to buy it.
Are they laughing at us?
No, Patrick. They're laughing next to us.
But at the same time, it's not a Mustang. And I hate the fact that we have to ruin the names of old cars just to sell a few.
Like the Charger. The concept Daytona, which is going to be this fucking EV, really fucking bothers me. I've wanted a 2-door Charger for a long time now, and now I might get it, but it's going to have to be a fucking EV. That is the most stupidest thing on this God's green earth.
And we talked about the same thing with the figures episode. The Charger is so synonymous with classic movies, superheroes, Dukes of Hazzard, even Batman. The Batmobile was based off of a Charger kind of design.
Yep.
Don't forget about Blade.
Blade, he had a Charger. The idea that you can just throw this Charger-esque kind of look or just the name and people be like, yes, I have to buy it because Charger. It's not the same. You're not emulating the same thing that it was. It's something new.
And what makes me even more mad about it is just they think they're going to be able to do it because, oh, you can program it to make any type of exhaust noise you want it to. And they did that with the Renault. Thank you. The Clio. Because remember back in the day, the Clio was a hot hatch and people loved it. But then they made it an EV to where it could make any type of exhaust noises you wanted it to. And that's not a cool concept. I don't want that.
No, that's not a serious car thing. That's something that you'd get from Tesla because it's funny or it's neat. It's your car driving down the street sounding like the hover cars from the Jetsons where it makes the bubbly noise. That's hilarious for a Tesla. That is not something you want in your Charger.
No. Not at all. I don't want that in my fucking muscle car. I want to come up beside somebody and them just looking at me and I'm going, what's up? Mm-hmm. That's what I want. I don't want that. I want to just, wake up my neighbors and be like, hey, I'm leaving, or hey, I'm going to work. Fuck you.
If you're getting a muscle car, you're getting a car that's dedicated to power and performance. Granted, some of that has gone towards comfort because you can't sell a car nowadays without having AC. You can't sell a car nowadays without having adjustable seats. You can't sell a car nowadays without airbags, Bluetooth radio, touch screens, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, you can. It's called Lotus.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of comforts that nowadays it would just put you out of the market for not having them. But at the same time, the people that love the performance of the vehicles would give a lot of that stuff up. The market's just not as big. If you came out with the same Challenger that we make today, but only gave it a V8 and no special anything on the inside, I would pay for $2 carpet. I would put the cheapest bucket seat in there. I do not care. It has the engine I want and it does the performance I want.
Yep.
But the market's not as big because not everybody's a dedicated car person like that. I could give up AC. I could give up heating for a Challenger that could do that, but not everybody would.
No. And that's the reason why, even though I'm not mainly a Ford guy, I have a lot of respect for what Ford's doing right here.
I do too.
Because they're basically saying, yeah, we'll sign this bill because we have to continue the business. Mm-hmm. We have to say, look, we want to keep people in a job and keep making money as a car company. But underlying, we're going to say, fuck you, and make this beast of a car because we want to give the people who are gearheads and love what we did back in the 1960s by making the pony car and making the hot rods and making the NASCAR scene and all this stuff here, give them something to hope for while you try to stuff this EV California bullshit down our throats. No, we're not doing that. It's not happening. We're going to do this instead.
I agree.
And to me, that actually gives me hope because I'm thankful for that because maybe Chevy And maybe Dodge will take a play out of that and go, yeah, we need to do the same thing.
And to be honest, the story of the Dodge brothers is really part of the reason why I love Dodge. If you don't know anything about the Dodge brothers, they're basically just a couple of brothers who wanted to get in on this whole high society aspect, and they were gearheads kind of. And they were like, well, we're going to go out to the big fancy parties with all these other car manufacturers because it was high society back in the day. And everybody just looked down on them like, you just a couple of guys that are working on cars in your garage or whatever.
Indeed. And I hear a rumor she's having a baby out of wedlock as well.
To the point where they're like, all right, we'll have no choice but to make it big, so you have no choice but to acknowledge us. And as the money came in and as they got really good at their job and as they kind of built this brand for themselves, they kind of just loaded the fact over all these other car manufacturers of, see, we don't actually need your approval, but we can get it anytime we want because we'll work for it.
That's why I'm like you. That's why I have a respect for Dodge.
And that's why I have a respect for Dodge. But sadly, that's not the same Dodge we're seeing today. But we can see those kind of aspects coming from Ford. And that's why I have to give the respect where it's due is Ford's really doing that now.
Right.
Because let's just say fuck you to this fucking bullshit of you have to have an energy
Well,
safe
I don't
car.
know much about it personally, but it does sound to me kind of like they're being bullied into the whole EV thing.
Yes.
Oh, they
So
were.
for them to
They
stand-
were.
It's
There's-
like standing up.
They were given no choice. By the year 2025, every car manufacturer has to have a certain number of EV vehicles to sell.
Yeah.
So it's like walking into a company and saying, hey, I know you have this big 10-year plan for your company, but we're going to need you to scrap that and invest a bunch of money into something we want you to do because we said so.
And California is the worst. California is
naturally.
like, no, we're going to get rid of all gas powered cars and you will have to have a damn electric car by, what was it? It's 2025. If not, it's 20.
I think the public has to have all electric cars by 2030.
Yeah. And he's like, we will not even sell gas.
It won't even be possible. The only people that will get gas is public transportation, buses, stuff like that.
But then he tells them, we can't have you charge cars right now.
Oh yeah, the power
it's
grid.
fucking up our
Power
grid.
grid goes down constantly in California because people are trying to charge their cars at the same time. AC stops working. They tell people, well,
It's just hilarious that they think any of that could happen.
yeah, they tell people all the time, if you're going to work, cut your air system off. I know it's going to be uncomfortable when you get home, but that'll
fuck
save
your
power.
animals that you have in your house too.
And then they'll tell people, well, actually, don't use the hot water all at the same time throughout the entire state because everybody gets home at 5 and everybody wants to take a shower when they get home. So everybody just needs to spread your times out. Don't do everything the same. It's stuff that they never.
Moronic.
Yeah, it's moronic because they never planned for
It's
stuff
California.
like this.
Yeah, it's California.
And the idea has been ever since even the car industry, since the 60s and the 70s, whatever California does, that's what the rest of the United States does. So the idea is attack California first to get them to do whatever we want, and then the rest of the United States will follow.
That's why I can't stand the EV cars. The only one I think has a brain in their head is Tesla, but they got a lot of problems too with the weird acceleration problem that they're having right now. Shit like that, like the out of nowhere acceleration that's just killing people. Like they'll be in, is it autopilot? And they'll just brake and then boom, it just takes off at a weird acceleration.
I didn't know about that one.
Oh yeah, you should watch the videos on that. That is some scary fucking shit.
I've seen a lot of stuff where it's talking about the control modules for like key fobs and stuff are short circuiting just because of regular rain. There was a lot of them that caught fire in Florida after the hurricane.
Damn.
Some major flaws that don't really make sense.
But that makes sense. It doesn't make sense. I mean, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
the stuff that you think would be super important to protect, they do, but not well enough. Just because it's a car company, you have to cut corners to some degree. But so many car companies can tell you can only cut so many corners before it becomes too fatal to ignore. The Pinto being one of them.
oh yes.
And it was one of those things.
Or the Cavere, or the Cavere, the Chevy Cavere, where it had the
Cavalier.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Where it had the engine in the back in
Yep.
the '60s, had bad vapor lock.
Yep. It's one of those things where you can cut corners for so long, but then the company has to weigh lawsuits, or can we just pretend it's not there? Okay, too many people are dying. Yeah, we're gonna have to
we
do
got
recalls.
to do something about
Recalls.
this. Recalls.
There's a tipping point.
Yeah, there's a tipping point, and it's sad that businesses have to look at it that way. It's like, can we just throw money at the problem, or is it going to be cheaper for just to give a recall and no more lawsuits? It's sad, but that's how some things work.
Yeah, it is. It's very sad.
But I'm very excited for this kind of Mustang. I really hope that Dodge and Chevy can take from that kind of note.
Oh, me too. And you know what will be the kicker? If they make it affordable. Go back to the original drawing board of what made the Mustang popular. Make it affordable for the blue-collar worker.
It would be nice to see kind of a retro kind of version of EVs, even if we have to go that way. But, I mean, the same thing with the Challenger example I just gave. Give me some big, massive EV engine, but I don't want anything else in the car.
You mean EV? You mean V8? You're saying EVs?
Yeah. I'd like to see a retro version of that. Just steel body cars with giant EV engines. No.
Are you meaning V8 or EV? You
EV.
keep... Okay.
Even if we have to go that way, I think we're still going to see a retro version of that.
I think
I'm planning for the worst. I'm hoping for the best.
I think he is too.
And I have no doubt in my mind, if you guys haven't seen X-Driver, but when X-Driver situations start coming around, there's going to be a resurgence in gasoline engines again.
Oh, I believe it is too, because it's going to be the only way that's a more constant, natural, and easier way to actually reliable source.
Right. And I don't think it'll be exactly like X-Driver, just because it's not plausible to go that fast. But the idea is, in the future, everybody's going to be driving around in automated cars that you're not allowed to even drive. Human citizens will not be allowed to drive cars just because it's deemed unsafe. So when cars go haywire and you can't control them anymore, there's going to be people in petrol cars who have to go around and stop them. Or if there's an emergency service and you didn't pay the subscription for your Tesla Superfast and you have to get to the next fire because you're a fire engine, yeah, people are going to have to go around in gas engines to fix the problem.
Makes sense.
There's no avoiding the reliability of gas engines that we have. And we've got so many of them, it's hard not to make anything you want.
And there'll be replicants dying in the streets. I didn't watch that movie.
Oh, no.
It's an anime.
It's an anime. And it's a show.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a movie, though.
You're going for like a dystopian future. I'm just like...
It's not really a
Blade
dystopian
Runner?
future. It's just super futuristic, and all cars work off of the same basic technology. There's sensors, they tell you where to drive, and the car does all the thinking, just like a Tesla.
iRobot had the same thing too, remember?
Yeah, the cars from iRobot.
And he was the one who drove his Audi R8.
But imagine one of those cars just not working. It drives when it wants to. It goes on its own course. It could
Which
crash
is what's
at any
happening
moment.
right now with the damn Teslas.
And if all the cars are ran that way, who is supposed to be able to stop them?
Nobody.
Nobody except people that may have a gas-powered car, so the government has to
California
buy.
will figure it out.
Yeah, that's it. Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Get on your thing.
Yeah,
But yeah,
they're way ahead of the curve.
But hopefully Ford makes it affordable. Because if they make it affordable,
Big-
I would
big
buy
middle
one just
finger.
to support them.
I think the fact that they're using the Coyote, which they've had for a very long time now, the forged internals are not going to be cheap. The track package is not going to be cheap. Carbon fiber wheels are never cheap.
No.
6-piston Brambos are never cheap.
No.
But I think they could come together with a really good package and still be in the $50,000 to $60,000 range.
Which isn't stupidly out of the range, because the new, what was it? The new Supra, which is basically a BMW,
Right.
was selling at what, 60 to 70?
It's not anymore, but yes.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's skyrocketed. But it was cheaper at first at that.
Yeah, it was around $60,000.
So, I mean, I would buy one of these new Mustangs just to support them for what they're doing. I mean, I would, just to have that and go, haha, fuck you, I got one of these.
If it
Fuck
was
you,
under-
fuck you, fuck you.
If it was under $60,000 and I could afford it, I would totally would.
Yeah, we'd be Mustang bros.
Oh, yeah.
We'd take out crowds.
Would you get the manual or the automatic, though?
I might just go automatic just to say fuck you.
Valid. I don't know. I don't know if I trust the 10-speed yet.
That's a possibility.
I may have to go 6-speed.
I don't blame you. But then, when I take it on long trips, I don't want to be going into traffic going, it's 1 2 1 2, not boom 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 boom.
Oh, I'm not doing long trips on it. That's I'm going
Oh, I would.
sideways
I would go to
line.
California just to piss them off. Look at my Mustang. Fuck you.
Valid. Valid point.
And with that, guys, that's our car. Please support these people who are actually doing good stuff.
Giving the middle finger.
That's right.
Give the
Giving the middle
EV
finger to
people middle
California.
fingers, not the Ford people who are making good stuff.
Yeah, join Ford with giving
Yeah.
California the middle finger.
There you go. I agree with that.
Fuck the bad people. Yeah.
And with that, guys,
Vroom,
we are-
vroom.
Yeah, boom, boom.
Boom, boom.
We are out.